Hello!
Hello. Oh my god, this is so awkward.
It's a little bit awkward, but that's perfectly fine. It's always awkward the first time. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Yes, I am correct. So, this is Ken from the RoastCasters, and...
This is Vyrthala.
Okay. Go on. No, it's perfectly fine.
Vyrthala, or you may just call me Vyron.
Yes, that's perfectly fine. And Vyron right over here has just experienced his first ever cosplay convention. Cosplay Mania 2019 was one of the biggest cosplay events of the year, and certainly not the last. One of the biggest in size. Took over 4 halls, which has been unheard of, historically speaking, in the history of SMX Convention Center.
Oh.
So overall, any initial thoughts on how your first cosplay convention was, Vyron?
Well, it's not really my first cosplay convention that I went to.
Oh, really?
It's I attended other cosplay events, but only as as someone attending in like plain clothes. This is actually my first time attending in cosplay, in an actual cosplay.
Right, so you were a con goer before,
yes,
and
con
now
goer. That's the word.
you're like full blast.
Yeah, cosplayer. First time cosplaying. Which is a really unique experience.
Unique.
It's more on like, of course, when you're just a con goer, no one is really stopping you from like taking pictures. You just go to the booths. You may take like selfies with other cosplayers, getting their pictures. But now, if you're the cosplayer itself, then people actually recognize you and ask you for your pictures. It's essentially you're the attraction for that for the event itself, which is to be honest,
how'd that feel?
It's actually kind of really good. It's really fun. It's although it's more on like nerve-wracking because it's the first time. Time that actually people take pictures that they really want me like the center of like, oh, that's cool, it's Ansai and things like that.
For the context of our listeners, I went as Hanamichi Sakuragi from Slam Dunk, and Vyron over here, I invited him because we already had plans before to actually go to Cosplay Mania 2019 as attendees, but before I had like complete different plans, like costume plans for that matter. But then I thought, okay, maybe the second day I could go Sakuragi, and he could actually go as someone. And what other better person to go with me than Coach Anzai? Because if I may say so, Vyron is thick. So I really like the term that you used about like how you were an attraction for people were like wanting to take photos with you. It's nerve-wracking, yet it feels quite nice.
Yes, because people are amazed actually that they're cosplaying a character that they want to see, especially Slam Dunk. It's because if you're from the Philippines, speaking of the international audience for this, Slam Dunk is one of those really memorable animes that you grew up with, especially if you're what they call like the 90s kid.
Yeah, that's true.
Along with like Flame of Recca, Yu Yu Hakusho, or Ghost Fighter in terms of the English conversion of it. Those era of anime, like similar with Naruto. So from what you've seen, of course you're more of you've really frequent cons. You're really a cosplayer in terms of your identity. You mentioned that people don't really usually cosplay as Anzai, right? Or you've seen
No. I admit that I have never seen anyone cosplay as Coach Anzai from Slam Dunk. If ever they did, well, it's not exactly, or Coach Anzai isn't exactly a character that has a lot of impact by himself. But
yeah, it's more of like a chill guy.
Yeah, he's a chill guy. Story-wise, he definitely was very important in the Slam Dunk storyline. But by himself, people would be like, okay, so there's this dude with a white shirt and red tie. Like, what are we gonna do about it? He holds a basketball. Okay, fine, but he's not like exactly all that iconic. But when you pair him with Sakuragi himself, then everyone knows, okay, this dude is Coach Anzai.
Yeah.
And he becomes the champagne to, I don't know, the oyster that is Sakuragi. So overall, that was very interesting that people actually recognized you.
Yeah.
They knew who you were.
Yeah, it's essentially they amplify each other. Of course, Sakuragi could stand on his own, but it adds to his flavor of, or how he actually manages his, or displays his personality in the corp. Because, like, I haven't really remember a lot of from Slam Dunk, but like some of his antics actually involve Anzai.
That's true. Yeah. Like bouncing his chin around, grabbing his belly, and so. Yeah. So overall, how did it feel to like constantly get stopped for pictures?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it's fun, but it's really tiring. I didn't imagine that it's gonna be that tiring. So like, didn't we have like when we're in like the open area behind the like the Marvel booth or something like that?
Yeah, I think that was a Marvel booth.
Marvel booth. Like people stopped us for like 30 consecutive people, stopping us, either taking pictures of us or with us. And there's like some certain action shots. And sometimes actually we are going to like we're going somewhere, right?
Right.
To the what's that? The bag booth or something. Then every time that someone is done with taking pictures with us, like I try to get my bag and I'm like, oh, can I have a picture with you guys? And like that, like okay, then I'm gonna drop my bags again. They're gonna pose. Although, my pose there is actually more on the neutral, the serious answer, and sometimes like throwing out the peace sign.
Yeah.
It's still tiring. I still do the same pose. It's not really an action shot compared to what Sakuragi does. Actually, but it's still tiring. Although maybe it's really my first con, that's why I'm not really used to those things.
I guess, I don't know. I mean, even myself, that I used to go to a lot of cons, I guess I get I get tired like really easily. I'm not really sure what it is, but you know, after like I don't know how many hundreds of people actually took photos with us, I think it's just really tiring overall to like walk around and stand, get stopped, get some pictures taken over and over again. So I definitely agree with you that it's fun, but it is strangely tiring. Yet it does make you feel like somewhat happy inside.
Yeah, so it's like a different kind of happiness. It's more on, it's like tuwa in Filipino, yung nakakatuwa. Oh, what's happening?
One issue that I think you might have probably felt would be about how you said that you or us, we were essentially like one of the attractions of the convention itself. And because we seem to be what we call attractions, a big part of the character of Coach Anzai, or not a big part, but rather what happens in the anime is that Sakuragi plays with his chin or his belly, right?
Yeah.
So it ends up that some people actually asked if they could touch your chin.
Yeah, I was actually fine with that. I expected that. There was once when we were, I forgot her name, the cosplayer. Like she's asking like, oh, can I ask for a favor? Like, what's that? Like that.
Oh
I was
my God.
confused. Then
And
she was like, How can I had Robbie Orange and I like that. Then she, of course, like, did that, ano tawag?
Like clasping,
The clasping
like
of
cupping
that
your chin.
Cupping my chin. That's like kind of funny. Like, I felt like a Buddha there. Actually, like, no, asking for
Wait,
like, good luck.
is that like your best? Is that your best description? You felt like a Buddha.
Yeah, like it was
Like, wow, I'm getting rubbed for good luck over here.
good luck. Yeah. Although not a lot of people did that. Of course, if they didn't really expect Anzai or don't sometimes remember that.
That's true. That's true.
They more see that when Sakuragi is like playing on or like teasing Anzai, but they don't really anticipate them doing that. Although it's more on the aspect of like that is more on doing something personal to that person.
That's true. That's true. I think it. The reason why I ask that is because there were a lot of issues before about personal space when it comes to people taking pictures with cosplayers. I myself, I don't really find reason or the logic behind taking or having a photo taken with the cosplayer. Because if I'm going to take a photo of the cosplayer, I want a photo of the cosplayer. I know that I'm the one who took a photo of the cosplayer. I want to see the cosplayer. I don't want to see my face over there as a con-goer, sweaty from carrying all that merch and looking at it, gawking at every single booth or whatever cute cosplayer there was. I want a photo of the cosplayer, the character. Yeah. What's the... Look, I know that some people definitely took selfies with me, and that's perfectly fine because you know how Sakuragi is. There's like that peace sign with that huge grin, and that fits. That fits well enough. But what about, like, say, if there's like a really ornate or like a really well-detailed cosplay, like say from Monster Hunter, and you take a selfie with that person? What's the point? What's the point? What's the point?
Well,
I don't really see why that happens.
Well, I think it's actually similar with people. Of course you've been to museums, you have to appreciate the art.
Oh my god!
And of course the cosplay is art. There's no denying about that. Then people take selfies with paintings.
Really?
Yeah. That's not only selfies, of course, sometimes they like to play around. Of course, there's like more action.
That's horrible.
Oriented with paintings.
Don't touch the art, Jesus.
Yeah, they don't really touch it, but more on like trying to blend in with the art. And I don't really understand like people taking selfies with the painting or getting their pictures taken with the painting. It's more on the aspect of inserting themselves. I know that kind of sounds kind of wrong.
That's a little sexual right there, Vyron. You do know we are catering to all ages, right? We don't want to be like setting a bad example for the minors. But innuendo aside.
Yeah, they're trying to insert themselves. It's more on like, they want to show people that they're with this awesome cosplay, and they are with that, and they saw that. It's more on like their proof of that they've been there. And of course,
right, okay.
It's not only that, but of course it's gonna show it to their friends. You know, so like, oh, I got a picture with Sakuragi and Anzai. Like, they're cool, and they see themselves still in it, and it shows that they're there.
So it's all about themselves again, huh?
Well, yes,
this is how
actually.
people are. This is just how people are every single time.
Well, kind of unfortunately, but of course, like the selfie culture, they want to see themselves. They want to present themselves.
That's actually a pretty interesting topic. I mean, it actually started with like about how it was about personal space and like cosplay is consent. The whole movement, if you've heard about it, that just because you're in cosplay doesn't mean that you're allowing people to invade your personal space, maybe touch your badonkadonk, and it has happened.
Oh yeah, cosplay is not consent.
Cosplay is not consent. Sorry. The whole cosplay is not consent movement, and it just really brings out all that And that's why I actually asked if you were actually completely fine with
Yes.
getting like asked about it, which is actually pretty good that they actually asked you if they could cup your chin or whatever. So overall, yeah, that's a very good point that they. I mean, when it comes to when I went with the rant for the whole selfie thing, I think that's part of it. Like, I don't think I was ever asked for selfies in the past. They wanted. I don't think front
as a Kuragi.
Yeah. Overall, I think the front cameras weren't all that big before, so they would actually have a friend or two take a photo with them.
Oh yeah.
So take a photo for them. So they would have their friend take a photo. So it's just the rear camera. That's how they take a photo. But now it just felt a little strange that after around 2 to 3 years of me not being very active in like public conventions, that they would be asking, "Can we?" Yeah, I haven't been very active overall. I guess I kind of lost interest in it, but right now I think I might go to one or two of the major conventions, just because like
get back into it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's still kind of interesting. Overall, it's a little tiring, but yeah. So yeah, I guess I just find the whole selfie thing a little strange sometimes, because then in relation to the whole personal space and cosplay is not consent thing, they would definitely have to get a bit closer to you. So they would be taking a photo, and then they're gonna get close and they're gonna take a photo, and usually it'll end at that.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess overall, I'm just glad to hear that your first cosplay convention, or rather, sorry, first cosplay convention as a cosplayer actually went okay. Nobody like really just grabbed your chin out of nowhere. But
I wasn't really disturbed by their classmate or touching my chin. Sometimes people just like to hover over. That really
God, the hover hand, man. That's how long ago has that been?
Hover hand. Like, yeah, you can touch it. Like, no, just hover. Like, yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, I mean,
so there's nothing really really invasive for it.
Yeah.
Although, of course, I cannot say with other people's other actions, other cosplays.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I cannot attest to anything. If like you mentioned, like people touching their budangalaks, if of course those are very very obvious. Those,
Baps and bums, yeah.
Yeah, that is completely different. Because that.
In that same vein, I think there was one gay dude who actually not exactly grabbed, but he did somehow held onto my arm or something, and I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna flex this bicep. I don't know, make him have a nice con experience. I didn't really feel like it was a big deal at the time, but later on when I thought about it later on, dude, yo, what the fuck?
Well, no, that actually that is beyond, he should have asked your consent for that, because that is regardless, even if it's touching my chin, people ask, and people should still ask, even if they're gonna wrap their arm around yours.
Yeah, it was kind of like clasp this and whatever. So
they should still ask.
Yeah, that's true.
No, treat cosplayers as like a painting. Do not touch. If it says do not touch, do not touch. Even if it doesn't say you do not touch, you still do not touch. And if you want to touch, even if it says do not touch, you should still ask.
Yeah, that's really tricky, but yeah, that's true. That's true.
But the most important thing is to still ask regardless.
Yeah. Now I feel bad. I should have back off.
Yeah. Of course, you should still say to it in a nice way. People sometimes forget, because sometimes they're amazed that there's a very very awesome cosplay or a good, really good character that they're a fan of, but still ask for consent regardless.
That's true, though. I mean, it
doesn't really, you don't go through a whole logical loop, or you don't. It's not a logical maze for consent, you know.
You just suddenly like go out and do that, and that's probably one of the reasons why I actually found the way you described the feeling of being an attraction very interesting, because then some people, I guess, kind of forget that, hey, just because I'm wearing this costume doesn't mean that you're allowed to touch it.
Yes.
Just because I have my arms exposed doesn't mean you're allowed to squeeze it. If you keep squeezing it, I'm going to be squeezing your neck, if you know what I mean. I'm going to give you a hug around your trachea. So, yeah, that now I feel like, I feel a little violated, but okay, whatever.
For me, sometimes it's best to educate people. Of course, yes, you could say that you're violated, and I'm not saying that your like feelings
my
are
bicep
not
was violated.
Your
He put his
feelings
PP on my
or
bicep.
your experiences being invalidated, but all of us, I think we should set like example, like, educate people that you should still ask regardless of what it is, even if you do not really touch anything like private or touching badong or something like that. Even if it's not touch, even if you just want to touch like the weapon or some kind of props, of course, some props are can easily be damaged. Just still ask if you could touch it, because you're still interacting with people.
That's true. That's true. That's also one of the reasons why I actually asked if, overall, with personal space and consent and everything, right? So even with, say, those in elaborate armor costumes, I kind of find it like off if people like, as you've said, they feel like it's an attraction or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they start like poking around, whatever. Like, say maybe somebody's wearing a bumblebee from Transformers, not an actual bumblebee, from Transformers, or like Optimus Prime or whatever. And they start like slapping the armor or whatever. Usually kids, or others like maybe dumbass teenagers. So,
well, I think it's more understandable with kids if we're talking about like 8, around that age or something. Well, they don't know better, and of course, best to educate. But damn.
Yeah. It's very off-putting, right? The amount of, or rather, the lack of education etiquette that some people have when it comes to conventions, which is why it really blew up in most of, I think, usually in America, about how the whole cosplay is not consent movement, because there are a lot of creepy people out there. Here, it's usually like okay, like there's definitely a good amount of that kind of people, but those kinds of people. But in America, it's I don't know if like it's because people are more vocal about it, but
I think
there are it just feels like there are just so much more of them, because there are actual online movements about it, like #cosplay is not consent. So I'm glad that at least on your part,
this is my first time, and
you didn't really experience the rough parts of like being a cosplayer, and overall you found the experience pleasant.
Yeah, it's more it's really good. It's I didn't really expect it, and it's fun. Although of course I really went to the con not because I want to cosplay, but it was actually to watch the concert on the
Myth
second
and Royd.
day.
That's
Myth and
true.
Royd. I'm really a fan of that.
What a nerd.
Yeah, I'm gonna place the picture there on screen.
Oh my god,
Picking up the autograph.
he has this face where like he's like hiding behind the autograph. Was that like a small poster or some kind of like a signed card? And he's like, I got a card, I got a sign, I saw them in person. It's like, wow, Ko Chansa, you fucking nerd.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all nice and good. I'm glad you had a very pleasant experience overall. If you had to give a number out of 10 about your overall experience in Cosplay Mania, what number would that be?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
It's really enjoyable, but I don't know if maybe it's because I don't really go to a lot of cons,
Uh-huh.
but for me it's kinda still hot there. Kinda sweating there.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think there should be more. Of course, if you're in a cosplay, it's especially I'm wearing essentially plain clothes.
Yeah, I mean, you were basically in a suit and tie, man.
Yeah, it's just a long sleeves, but I still sweat a lot. How about in those in costumes? How about in those more elaborate things? So I don't know. Of course, sometimes other cosplayers are more revealing. So I don't know if
That's putting it mildly, bro.
I don't know if that's a way in balance. And sometimes when you're going through like through the stalls,
Yeah, that's true. That's a lot. There was a lot of people.
yeah, there's really blockage. There's no really like a right of way. People are trying to sidestep. Sometimes I didn't mean
Foot traffic.
Foot traffic for that. So I think the spacious the booths should be more spacious in between, so it could allow a lot of like a two-way traffic.
That's true.
At least.
Instead
And then, of
like-
course, if you know about like labor laws or
Right.
like building code that doesn't pass if there's an emergency.
So those were the points, or rather, why it's not a 10 out of 10. So
yeah,
overall,
it's more on like the booth management overall.
and like the spacing, the construction or layout of the overall
Yeah.
con floor plans. I mean,
Yes.
when I think about it, when you remember about how that other side, that entire side on the left was all artist booths, and there was like a lot of space, and then on like the
Merchant
I think
booths?
it was hall 2, yeah, the merchant booths with people selling prints and stuff. It felt a lot more cramped in between,
Yes.
right? So I don't know if the reason why it was more cramped was because most of them needed walls to like display their merch, right?
Yeah.
Others, like say the ones who were just selling merch, the one with like a more open area on the left
Oh
side.
yeah, yes.
Overall, I don't know what it was, but definitely there was a lot more space
Oh,
on that
yeah,
left side, right?
There are no, because that's the edge. That's the problem. That's
I
like
guess.
the edge because what we went through is like in the middle part.
Leftmost side is these artists or I forgot. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely there was merch, right? Then there's this small stage
Yes.
where I actually went up, but that's a story for another time. Then there would be like the main merch booths, and then there would be the food hall, rest hall, and VIP meeting hall. I think that's hall 3.
Yeah.
Hall 4 is the concert, right? So yeah, I think that hall 3 merch booth, the one that's on the right side of that small stage, that's the cramped area.
Yeah.
So it felt a little strange. It was overall manageable, but overall I think it also had to do with the number of people going through and the amount of space in between those booths.
Yes.
Because if there was more space like in between those booths, then I think there
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
be
right.
all that much of a problem.
Yes.
Then people would be stopping to look at the merch, and then that would
Yeah.
cause further clogging.
Yeah. You actually have to what's this called? You have to have spaces essentially for 4 people to pass through. Because one side would be looking, for example, for the left side's a booth. So a person could be looking at there. Then there's an incoming going through traffic, then going towards you. Then the right side is another booth. Then it should accommodate another person or space for people to look at their merch.
Just like
Yeah.
car intersections,
Yes,
like road
essentially.
intersections, right? So
People
yeah,
stopping, then people going, another people going, and then other people stopping.
that's very true. Though of course, hey, Cosplay Mania organizers, don't take this all personally, but overall, as Vyron has said, I do agree with like the rating. I think it's around an 8 out of 10. Definitely a huge improvement over the past years, where actually they didn't even have that separate food resting / VIP meet and greet area.
No.
That was definitely a big plus. But overall, for the merch booths, I guess with the number of people and the spaces in between those booths, that definitely put a little damper on the entire cosplay experience, especially for those in costume. Bulky costumes, for that matter. They wouldn't be able to look at the booths at all. So
You just hit other people with your like props.
yeah, your props would probably get damaged, or your armor itself. So
Go through that.
of course, I guess we can't like really satisfy like 100% like everyone, but overall, it was a great convention. I do agree that was probably
still great.
that was probably our only gripe, if we may say so. Overall, I give it 8 very nices
Very
out of
nice.
10. So, any closing remarks about your cosplay convention cosplayer experience, Vyron?
Well, I can say cosplaying is very enjoyable, and I kind of at the back of my mind kind of expected it was. I've never really tried.
Uh-huh.
I've known like cosplays or people cosplaying. I've known you've cosplayed since like what? Since our first year in college. So that's like
I guess.
2011, 2012
Oh
or
god,
something
it's been
like
8
that.
years, jeez.
Around 8 years.
This is really dating me back.
But that's the first time that I've actually gone to a cosplay event as a cosplayer.
All right. So, in the next episode, if we may even call it that, likely Vyron here will be asking me about my day over there in Cosplay Mania 2019. So, once again, this is Ken from the RoastCasters.
And this is Vyron.
Keep roasting, roast fans.
Keep on roasting.